Hey guys, thanks again for joining me. Just as we talked about before, of course, we're still in the middle of the marketing campaign, still putting that together, and of course, developing on the website. So soon, and with New York Times, I'll have that release date for you. So I'll let you know once that comes through. But at least until then, just as I mentioned then, I'm going to be having a couple of tidbit videos here and there that's going to tell you just a couple little small points that are coming out of the book and out of the guide and which how they can help you. So for today, we're going to look at a spot that's in Pillar 1. Remember, this is a 5-pillar system. So in Pillar 1, we're looking at leadership. And whenever we're looking at leadership, most importantly, taking a look at effective communication. So when we talk about effective communication, what exactly is that, right? If we speak the same language, does that necessarily mean you're going to be set up for effective communication? Absolutely not, right? Absolutely not. Of course, language, or at least the way that we see it, has been broken down in 3 ways, right? You have the words, in which what we're saying, how we express it through the tone, and then our body language, right? Have you ever heard of that before? If you have heard about that before, of course, this is a good little fresh reminder of how important it is for effective communication. If you haven't, don't worry. Again, this is why I'm doing a small tidbit here, but it really goes into more depth when you're taking a look at flipping teams. Okay, but when we talk about effective communication, think about how many times that we thought something was either taken out of context we said, or something was taken out of context by what someone else said to us. Okay, and we have to think about the whys. So I'll give you an example. That's even shared in my book. But my second daughter, Anastasia, said when she was about 1.5 years old, she woke up in the middle of the night screaming, crying, right? Absolutely upset. She obviously had a bad dream. Whenever I came to her, as soon as I got to her, she immediately started asking for milk. So, of course, I fixed a glass of milk, brought the milk to her. Immediately when I showed her that glass of milk, she cried. She pushed away saying, no, that's not what she wants. No, no, no. And so she immediately pointed to a toy. Her favorite toy, as a matter of fact, a stuffed bear. So when I leaned over and picked it up, I brought it to her. She screamed again. No, it's not what she wanted. She pushed it out again, right? I'm getting a little confused now because she's telling me what she wants. And then she says, Mickey House. And of course, at that time, that meant Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, one of her favorite shows that she used to watch. And again, so I pull up my tablet real fast, and again, I'm trying to push it on real quick. As soon as it starts the credits, she immediately stops, pushes it away. No, that's not what that's not what she wants. So now it's okay. What is she trying to tell me? Now I have to think back real quick that she's 1.5 years old, right? So she's limited to the words that she knows. Okay. At the same time, she's also limited to the knowledge of what she might be feeling and what she might need and communicate with. So now I have to think that, okay, all right, so the words that she's telling me is milk. She's telling me that it's obviously a toy. She's telling me that it's her favorite show, but she's rejecting all of those. So now I got to think back to what are other ways that she's communicating with me. The tone of her voice. So when I'm looking at the tone, every time that I actually either chose or pointed or showed what she was saying, her voice not only elevated, but also got a little bit more frustrated, right? She was upset. This wasn't what she was asking for, what she truly, really wanted, okay? And then I had to go back to the body language. The body language, every time any of those were presented, it always had to turn away, always had to push away. She was getting further away from me. Her face was starting to crunch up a little bit more. Some of those micro emotions and expressions that she was showing was that she was just being more frustrated, right? Being more concerned, being more insecure about what was going on. So I had to sit back and think, okay, so now when I'm looking at all of those things, what do they have in common? She usually has a glass of milk, typically before bed, all right, or just whenever she just woke up. Whenever she has her favorite toy with her, she usually sleeps with that favorite toy. It makes her feel comfortable, right? And then, of course, when I'm looking back the show she watches early in the morning. Sometimes she watches it before she takes a nap. She watches it sometimes right before bed. Those are her favorite shows to watch. So all of those brought her comfort. So now immediately as I'm processing now, doing some deductive reasoning, I'm thinking, okay, so based on her communication, maybe what she's truly seeking is comfort. She doesn't know this word. She doesn't understand it. She just knows it when she feels it. And so I immediately brought her in close. Okay, it didn't matter what she said, what words she expressed. I immediately brought her in close. In my tone of voice, lowering the tone of voice in concern, right, in love and care. And I'm giving her those silent, those real quiet shh, as I'm bringing her in, telling her that I love her. It's okay. She's going to be okay. And my body language is now rocking her, right? I'm holding her in a hugging motion. I'm bringing her real close, and I'm rocking her, and I'm telling her it's going to be okay. In seconds, the crying immediately lowered, right? And then about 15, 20 seconds after that, she literally fell back asleep. I was able to set her back down. She did great for the rest of the night. But thinking back at that example, that's a huge example that I use because although it is, of course, a toddler, right? It's a young child who doesn't even know how to express sentences just yet. But think about that on the teenage or even adult level. Think about that with your team members. how many times have they tried to communicate with you, but you have been unable to receive their message? Okay, and you can say the same thing about that vice versa. But as a leader, it's our job to effectively communicate to them and to effectively listen to them, right? So with that being said, how many times can you think back that something you said was taken out of context? Or maybe something they said you took out of context. And all that was expressed was frustration because they felt the other wasn't listening or wasn't communicating properly or something wasn't being said. Now, as a leader, you have to take responsibility in that situation, right? That's what we're talking about right now. Because now we're going to teach you how to really take a look. Ironically, back in the 60s, or not ironically yet, but back in the 60s, a great guy, Professor Albert over there at the University of California, did a huge research and study on this, okay, back around 67. Okay, and the research that he did, he started to find out really more effective ways in communicating with one another. All right, and I'm going to read particularly from that book, and which you'll find in there, because I don't want to get it wrong. But he said his research showed that 55% of all communication between people is expressed through body language. 55%. 38% is through the tone in their voice, 38%, which leaves us only 7% is conveyed through their words, what he called the 7-38-55 rule. So keeping that in mind, to be an effective communicator and effective listener, you'd have to be able to take a look at all of those aspects of a message. However, ironically, and here's where the irony is that the first things we tend to look at, because we're programmed to do so, are the words. We first listen to the words, we first hear the words, and then we respond, right? We don't look at the full message that's being communicated with us. So as you saw in my example, whenever I was first just immediately responding to those words, I was constantly getting shot down. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. But wait, you told me milk. You told me your toy. You told me this, right? You told me your show. But I kept getting it wrong because I was not taking the bigger pieces of the aspect. So kind of what Professor Albert was hinting to was 93% of the communication coming out of our bodies has absolutely nothing to do with words. So why is it that we innately focus on the words first? Okay, so what this tidbit is telling you is I'm going to teach you and start telling you that once you have that miscommunication, once you start to recognize there's miscommunication going on there between you, family members, friends, or even your team members right now, I want your mindset to start getting used to flipping that equation around. We don't start with the words and then move the tone and body language. I want you to start with the body language first. So express the body language, understand the body language, see how you're expressing your body language, or see how they're expressing their body language. Once you start getting a matchup of where their body language is at, now you can start to interpret, okay, where's the meaning going? So now we're going to come over to tone. So in that tone of voice, is the tone of voice actually getting calm when certain things are being said? Or is the tone of voice shifting gears into something worse as things are being said? That's how you can effectively change your communication. All right. Don't focus on the words. So that's what I'm here to teach you. Do not focus on the words. That is the last thing you should take a look at. Take a look at body language first, followed by the tone. Now, there are definitely many other books out there and research that can help you learn a lot more into how to read and to anticipate certain responses based off of body language alone. And then, of course, with the tone of voice that I definitely encourage you to certainly check out. I do go over a little bit of some of those tips and tricks over there in my book, but certainly check those out. But again, it's all about effective communication. You have to learn to effectively communicate, and that also means to effectively listen. So again, it's my tidbit for the day from Pillar 1 Leadership. Thank you so much for listening in. Look forward to talking to you next time.